Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about something that I know I say this all the time, but I have waited a long time to make this video. Today, as you know, because you clicked on the video, we're going to be talking about night vision. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the RNVGs from Night Vision Incorporated. So for those of you who have seen the video on this helmet, I talk a little bit about what kind of, is on this helmet, what its purpose is, why it's set up the way it is. Today, as you know, if you've clicked on the video, we're going to be talking about why I have this helmet. And that is to mount night vision to. So today we're going to be talking about my night vision setup, including this helmet, but I'm not going to talk in the helmet. If you missed my previous video, I'm going to put a link in the description to go to that so you can kind of explain why this helmet is set up the way it is, the components on the helmet, and so you can watch that. But it'd probably be best if you watch that before this, so please watch that video. What I have in this box, as you know, are my night vision, they're RNVGs from Night Vision Incorporated. And before I get into the actual, night vision product, I want to go ahead and talk about the fact that Night Vision Inc. is probably one of the best, night vision business that I would advocate for. I don't have any affiliation with them, but what I'm saying is that number one, all their products that they market are in stock. You're not facing the 9-month lead times that people are having to face with TNVC. I'm not bad talking about any other companies, but I'm saying that my experience with Night Vision Incorporated has been really great. I actually have had to have warranty work done. I'll go into that later, but they have been fantastic to deal with. I'll put a link in there for Night Vision Inc., and you can go check out their products. They have a lot of amazing stuff, and they're definitely good to go, guys. So opening up this lunchbox that it's in, we are going to get right into it. So, as you can see, my night vision is right here. I'll pull it out in a second. But over here are just some accessories. I don't actually have these on because I'll show you why I don't have these on. But these are just protective caps for the objective lens. They have a little hole so that the tube doesn't get damaged by the light. It has some stickers and stuff like that. He actually sent a battery with it, which is kind of cool. But yeah, in the back you will find. I don't have it on me right now, but you'll find a little thumb drive, which I actually didn't know what it was until I looked at it a little bit. But it's a thumb drive with your data sheets. So we'll actually go into the data sheet in mine and talk about what the figures mean. So I'm just going to pull these out real quick. And here we have it. Here are my RNVGs from Night Vision Inc. So when you buy a night vision, it's pretty expensive. You want it to be rugged, durable. You don't want to have to worry about it breaking. And that's kind of the concern that the RNVGs are addressing, just because they are made out of aluminum rather than the traditional plastic. So what you have is the housing, which is this component, which is connected by a bridge. All that is made out of aluminum, whereas the traditional binocular setup is made out of mil-spec plastic or something like that. But what that does is it doesn't make it that much heavier. It's comparable weight. I'll list the exact weight of the product, but it dramatically increases the durability. So that's why they're called RNVGs, or Ruggedized Night Vision Goggles. So on the housing, you have the power switch, which is right here. I don't know if this is in focus or not. Right here, this is the illuminator. I was really impressed with the illuminator's performance. I was basically out in the middle of nowhere, turned on my illuminator, and it was almost as powerful as my full power PEC 15, which is amazing. So this is really handy, especially when you're working in conditions where there's really no moonlight. This is actually where the battery is housed. So this housing is the CR123 housing. I think they offer a AA. But I would probably advocate for the CR123 just because it has better battery life, and it has the option for the external battery pack, which is the port for it is right here. So how they work is basically this center pod, which is this bridge, is the power. So the power comes to these through this battery and onto the power rails, which I will see if I can get in a shot real quick. So you can see right in the center where the power rails are from the bridge, and that actually powers the pods. And you can see here, this is the interpupillary distance adjuster. So as I move this, it's actually moving the pod center. And that is how you adjust the interpupillary distance. So as you can see that they're moving on this rail, and it's actually pulling them and pushing them in and out. So one thing that people don't realize is that night vision is like a camera. It has to be focused. And that means when you're looking at something 5 meters away versus 30 meters away, they're going to be different focal lengths. So what I do, when I'm either out hunting or either I'm out shooting, I go ahead and set my focus at the beginning of the night. If I'm hunting, I go ahead and set my focus, pretty far out. So they'll focus on the end, just like that. And once you set your focus, that has to be an understanding of, this is the range that it will be focused at, this is the range it will be blurry at. But a lot of people say, my image is blurry. Well, my first question is the night vision focused? So that's something that you have to keep in mind. So the next question is going to be, what do they look like through the tube? Well, I have some photos that I'm going to show of what it looks like through the tube, but I don't really have a good way of video recording through the night vision tube. I am talking to a company that makes a night vision recorder, so I might be able to get a recorder to actually film through the tubes. My tubes are actually the Photonis, I think Photonis Echo, but they're really good performers. Back when I had a PVS 14, I had L3 Omni 7, I think, and they seem to be on par. Something I have noticed is that, they streak a little bit with bright light, but it's not a big deal. The majority of my use is going to be out in the middle of nowhere where there's no bright light. So, there's not really a concern. For those of you who are saying, what about, L3 white phosphorus? Well, obviously that's going to be the best tube that you can buy, possibly. What this is, this unit costs about $6,000. L3 white phosphorus sentinels cost about $8,000 or $9,000. So you have around $2,500 or $3,000 increase between price, and the performance, they're both usable. They're both functional at night. And I'm not ready to ball out on $10,000 night vision setup yet. But the Photonis Gen 3 are really amazing tubes for the money. I would definitely advocate for those. So before we get into the data sheet, I want to go ahead and announce that, I'm not a professional about any of this stuff. I'm just basically reading what I found online. And I will drop the link below about, where I found this stuff, so all of you can read it for yourself and not just take my word for it. But we're going to go ahead and get into the data sheet that was provided with my RNVGs. So at the top of the sheet, we're going to have performance data, requirement, actual. That's just going to mean what the performance criteria is, the requirement for the spec or the manufacturing, this is from the manufacturer. This is the requirement of each tube that it must meet. So basically you can look at this as the minimum. And the actual is going to be how the tubes actually perform. And you can see a lot of these numbers have 2, and obviously that's because this is a binocular setup and there's 2 tubes. Now as far as left and right, I don't know how to tell that. So we're going to go ahead and get into the first one. So photocathode response, I don't know why it's not available, but that's basically off and on, I think. I don't know. Figure of merit. So figure of merit is going to be a figure of how to tell how the tube performs. And before I explain how to calculate figure of merit, we need to talk about the resolution and the SNR. Below that is going to be background input. So I think that's, how bright the background is compared to the output. Luminance gain is going to be how bright the tubes are, or how amplified the light is coming out of the tubes. So we can see that the requirement is 7,000 and the performance of the tube is actually 15,000 and 17,000. So when I contacted Glenn from Night Vision Incorporated, I told him I wanted to get the white phosphorus setup. And it's because, everyone thinks that white phosphorus is the best just because it's white. But he actually told me that in the Photonus Echo series, the green phosphorus actually outperformed the white in gain. And what that means is on a darker night, you can actually see things brighter or see things better in the green phos tubes. Now, when you look through comparatively the white phos and the green phos, there are some things that it's hard to explain, it's hard to quantify, and it's just because I think that the white is just easier on the eyes, and I do believe that. I have seen through, one of my friends has Photonus Echoes in white, and they are really easy on the eyes. So gain is not everything, but it is something that was, that I thought I would, better value. So that's why I went with the green. And you can see that these have a really good gain. Below that is the center resolution. So that's, how pixelated or, how distorted the image is through the tube. And you can see the requirement was 62, and these actually perform really well with 68 and 69. So they actually have a pretty good resolution. I think this has to do with the actual tube structure. I think that the white phos, the L3 unfilmed, have really high resolution. That's just because of the way that they're made. And below that is going to be the SNR, or signal to noise ratio. And that's going to be how distorted the image is when it comes through the tube. So that signal is supposed to be high, and then the noise is supposed to be low, and then you get a ratio. So we can see the requirement was 26.5 for mine, and then the actual was 31 and then 30. So pretty good SNR. I'm not exactly sure what the L3 white phos unfilmed is. I've heard of things like 35, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But this is a really good SNR. And back to the FOM. So the FOM I've read to be calculated by the SNR multiplied by the resolution. So the figure of merit was created to basically quantify, okay, how good the tubes are performing. Because I know you've all heard of, Gen 2, Gen 3, things like that. Now it's not so much about the Gen, it's more about the FOM. So this is a number that's calculated by multiplying the SNR and the resolution. So we can see that the requirement for the FOM was 1800 and the actual performance was 2100. So it is a really good FOM, really good performing tubes. And like I said, these are a really great bang for your buck tube, compared to the super expensive unfilmed L3 tubes, which are obviously going to be the best in the market. These are still a really good option, and a lot of people just discredit them because they're not L3, but this just proves that they are really good performing tubes. Now, I hope that this hasn't been, too information dense. Obviously, like I said, I'm not a professional at this. If you want to talk to a professional, just send Glenn at Night Vision Inc. an email, and he will be more than happy to give you any information you need. He is a professional. I have no doubt in my mind that he, knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to night vision. So now, that we covered the night vision unit, the helmet, I kind of wanted to address an issue that's coming up a lot as far as, civilians having night vision. Well, there is a lot of talk, about, restricting armor sales, restricting armor-piercing rounds, and stuff like that. I'm a firm believer that civilians should be able to own anything and everything that they want. And I'm talking about many things outside of the Second Amendment, outside of, armor, night vision, full-powered lasers. I believe in freedom. I'm an American. I believe in freedom. So yeah, I'm not going to get into this. This is not a political video, but that's where I stand on this. Night vision is a really cool thing. It's definitely an asset that will benefit you in so many ways. I know some people use them in search and rescue operations, obviously hunting, tactical situations, there are so many applications that night vision serves. Thermal, I mess with some thermal stuff, that's really cool, but I think that night vision kind of fills a role outside of anything else. Night vision can be used on hiking trips. Night vision can be used, so many places, and it's so amazing. I know a lot of people say, this is a lot of money, but a lot of night vision units will last, 10, 20 years. You won't burn out the tube based on normal exposure or normal use. You have to be careful with them. You have to understand, that they are amplifying light in the thousands of times. So obviously no bright lights. Things like auto gating will help preserve them, but they are still breakable. But what I'm trying to get at is that I would definitely advocate for you to get a quality rifle set up. PVS 14, you can step up into RNVGs. Obviously duals are better. I'm not going to say they're not, because they're better. But you can get a quality setup for right around $5,000 or $6,000. You can get a rifle, illuminator, laser, suppressor. You could have the full setup. And I see a lot of people complain about the price of things, and they have all this mumbo jumbo that doesn't really do anything special. Night vision does so many things that are amazing, and I just can't explain how cool it is. If you have a friend that has night vision, just go out, look through his tube. Your life will be changed. Mine was because one of my friends said, hey, check out this night vision, and I was just staring at the stars thinking, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I've never seen so many stars. I can see so many things. This is so cool. That's my spiel on night vision. And if you're looking to buy a dual setup, or maybe even just a PVS 14, I would definitely hit up Night Vision Incorporated. They have so many good units. They run good deals sometimes, and they're just good people to deal with. I mean, if you're going to spend this kind of money, you want to know that the people you're buying it from are good to go, and they are.